Today we're talking about CCM6 frequency tables. A frequency table is a list of items or intervals that shows the number of times or frequency with which they occur. Vic number one, Vic stands for very important concept number one. To create a frequency table, make sure you have equal intervals. Intervals sometimes are also known as bins. So what we mean by equal is they need to contain the same amount of options. For example, if I have 0 through 4, I have the number 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 5 possible options that are contained within that bin. So if I'm talking about the number of pieces of candy that somebody collected for Halloween, that would be somebody might have had 0 candy, so they didn't go trick-or-treating. Some people had 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, or 5 pieces. Or actually 5's not an option in that sense. So 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. There's 5 options in that bin or that interval. I go to the next interval, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. There are 5 options of possibilities within that interval. Notice when I have an interval, I went straight from 4 to 5. I did not overlap my information. I did not create a gap between 4 and 5. Same here, I go from 9 to 10. So if I went trick-or-treating and I got 9 pieces of candy, I know exactly which bin or interval that piece of data goes in. They do not overlap and there is no gap here. So I go on to 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 5 options within that one interval or bin, and so on. You can go on forever if you needed to. So this is what an interval looks like, or bin, if that's what the vocabulary that you use for this situation. All right, so moving on, let's try some examples. Number 1, 6th grade students decided they would survey other 6th graders to determine how many DVDs each student owns, and here are the results. So you see all of these pieces of data here. We're just going to create a frequency table for this data. So I need to first come up with intervals. So again, they're going to be chunks of numbers. To figure out what interval you should use, first you need to find the smallest number and the highest number. So it looks like I've got a 2. That looks to be my smallest. And my largest or my highest, 33, I've got a 34, I've got a 39. I think 39 is my highest. So when I create my intervals, I need to go at least from 2 to 39. I can go beyond 2, so I can start at 0 if I want to. I can start at 1 if I want to. But I need to at least start at 2 or lower. When I finish, I need to end at 39 or above. I could end up at 40 or 41 or 42. But I need to have my intervals containing the same amount of possible options for collecting data. So I'm going to start at 0, and I just kind of want to try it out. Sometimes this is trial and error. So I have 4 options here. I have 4 rows for my intervals. When you're creating your own interval set, it's good to have at least 4, 5, 6 intervals. Going higher, 7, 8, 9, 10 intervals is maybe a little too much. So I want to have some kind of range where it creates 4 intervals when I'm finished. So if I go from, let's say, 0 to 9, that means I've contained 10 numbers in that interval. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Technically, that's 10 numbers within that interval. My next interval will start at the very next number, which is 10. And then you can just count on your fingers, but you'll notice a pattern here. It goes from 10 to 19. And then I'm going to roll over to the next number, 20, and through 29. And roll over to the next number, 30 through 39. As you can tell, I've gone all the way from 0 to 39. I've never skipped a number. I've never overlapped a number. And here, I've contained all the possibilities for my data. That's really the most important piece of this whole thing. Setting up a correct frequency table with the correct intervals. The next part is the easy part. We're going to see how many pieces of data fall between 0 and 9. You can cross your pieces of data out, you can circle them, you can put a dot by them like I do, or you can just count. So from 0 to 9, I've got 1, so this is 1, 2, and you just go through 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like 6 pieces of data. 10 to 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That was a lot. 18. 20 to 29. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 there. And then this should be the rest of my data. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to check yourself to see if you've collected all of the pieces of data and put them in the correct interval or bin, what you need to go through is count how many pieces of data you have up here. So I've got 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. I've got 38 pieces of data. So what you need to do is make sure your total here adds up to 38. So 6 and 4 make 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus 18 is 38. So I've collected all my pieces of data and I've organized them into a frequency table. All right, so let's go on to question number 2. In question number 2, it says, using the data, choose 4 appropriate intervals. That's it. I don't have to make a frequency table. I'm just choosing intervals because, remember, that's the hardest part. It says, Ms. Pittman gave her class a history test, and here are the results. So, remember, the first step is to look for your highest and your lowest pieces of data. It looks like my lowest was a 65. I've got one here and one here. And then my highest is a 90. Nope, 95. Looks like no one scored higher than a 95. So I go from 65 to 95. And it says 4 appropriate intervals. So if you subtract 65 from 95, you get 30. And 30 divided into 4 groups doesn't come out evenly. So what we can do is we can kind of add some space on, like, to one side. Like if I went from 60 to maybe almost 100 or 99, that would give me 40 pieces of data divided by 4. That means 10 equal bins. So knowing that, I'm going to start at 60. So I'm going to start at 60. Let's just go ahead and start over. Let's go 60. And then I need to count in groups of 10 to get me all the way up to 95 or higher. Remember, we can go past our highest number if we need to. So 60, 61, 62, 63, no, 60 counts. 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69. So I can only go from 60 to 69, and my next one will start at 70, and that goes to 79, 80 to 89, 90 to 99. And so that contains all of my possibilities for data. And I've got even intervals as I go through. Hopefully that made sense to you. The next two problems are problems that you're going to try on your own, so just push pause and go through your worksheet and solve the problems. When you're ready, push play and I'll do them here for you on the board. If you don't have your own worksheet, just copy down the questions from the board and then push pause and play as you need. Okay. So it says, listed below were the daily high temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit for the first 20 days of April. Make a frequency table. So it looks like my low is in the 50s. So I have 55 as my low. My high over here, 88. So I'm going to I need to go from the 50s to the 80s. So 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's like 4 equal intervals. I'm going to go 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, oops, and then 80 to 89. And then again, just go through, mark how many you have. I've got 2 in the first interval, 5 in the next, 8 in the next, and 5 in the last. The last step, remember, was to count all your pieces of data. Also look in your directions. It says I have 20 pieces of data. Look at your frequency. Make sure I've got 5 plus 5 makes 10, 8 plus 2 makes 10, 10 plus 10 makes 20. I've got all the data here. I'm good. And on the very last question, oops, I just erased some of the data. But it just says, using the following data, choose 4 appropriate intervals. I've got 30 people here in Max's neighborhood. They participated in a walkathon fundraiser. Here are the ages of the walkers. So remember, you're scanning your data for the smallest number. I've got 9, 8. 8 here is my smallest. And then the largest, I've got a 62. I've got a 70 over here, a 74. That looks like that's the highest. So I'm going 8, all the way from 8 to 74. If I subtract those two, like 74 take away 8, that gives me 66. And then 66 divided by, break that up into 4 equal intervals. That doesn't really come out even, but let's say I just rounded this down to 0 and this up to almost 80, then I would have 80 pieces of data, cut that into 4 intervals. Looks like I'm doing 20 pieces of data in 4 intervals, in each interval. So if I laid that out, I would have 0 to 19, because remember, that's going to contain 20 pieces of data right there. 20 to 29, 30 to 39. No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so here what I did, I messed up a little. That only contains 10 pieces of data. This one contained 20 pieces of data. So I got to go back and fix that. I want 20 pieces of data in every interval or bin. So that's going to be 20 to 39. There we go. Then 40, and then I have to jump to 59. And then I've got to go to 60, jump to 79. There we go. Jumping 20 pieces of data was kind of tricky, but if you double check, I go from 0 to 79, and that's going to contain all my pieces of data because I have to include at least the number 8 all the way through the number 74, so I'm good to go. All right, hopefully you got an understanding about how to make a frequency table. Frequency tables also help you with histograms, so hopefully you check out the next video, which is about how to make a histogram. Have a great day.